Assalamualaikum and Hi. My name is Anis Sofia binti Mohamad Amin. My matric number is 294843. Today, me and my friend want to talk about the voice phishing among elderly. The definition of phishing or voice phishing is the use of fraudulent phone calls to trick people into giving money or revealing personal information. It's a new name for an old problem, which is telephone scams. Phishing frequently involves a criminal pretending to represent a trusted institution, company, or government agency. The trickery of financial fraud or online scammers is becoming more and more common everywhere. Although many arrests have been made, this kind of fraud case still occurs with the victims suffering losses that sometimes reach the amount of their life saving for retirement. People aged 51 and over tend to be victims of fraud because they are less exposed to information and current development in fraud cases. The situation is compounded by the economic position of the people in question, who usually have a stable financial flow and have saving for old age or retirement money, causing the percentage of them being victims of fraud to be higher. Phishing scams have relatively simple structure. You get a call from someone posing as a person from the Social Security Administration or the tax office. They inform you that there is something wrong with your account and gradually manipulate you into revealing personal details. The next thing you know, you have given a complete stranger all the info they need to take money from your account, or even worse, you gave them the money by yourself. The danger with phishing scam is that cyber criminals often introduce themselves as a member of government agency or similar. Even if we think ourselves as independent or rebellious, most people would second guess that type of authority. This is especially true if the caller claims to have some information about you. Unfortunately, this is where phishing scams thrive. Scammers will usually collect some info about the victim and use it to gain their trust. If the criminal succeeds in that, the attack will probably be effective. You must be curious, how does phishing work? Phishing scams unfold in four phases. First is research. A phishing scam starts with plenty of due diligence. Cyber criminals rely on personal and private information they can find on the victim, so they need to have as much of it as possible before the attack begins. In modern times, it's much easier to get certain personal information. Malicious people don't even need to hack or break into the victim accounts because some social networks suffering will do just fine. For instance, many social network profiles show phone numbers, occupation, and info about people whereabouts. Even if all that data isn't enough to start a phishing attack, it can serve as a good foundation. Second is victim evaluation. A phishing scam will often include phishing attacks as the initial point of contact. In that case, the criminal will send an email posing as a legitimate organization. This often automates a message will require the victim to share contact information or take some other action. Contact can also be initiated via text or social media message. If the victim replies, they are likely susceptible to the phishing attack. In other words, victims who engage with false emails or other messages will probably also answer calls even from a suspicious caller. Next is the call. The actual phishing scam begins the moment the phone rings. Since many devices have caller ID, scammers will use several techniques to present the call as genuine. For instance, they may prepare the victim for the call during the phishing attack. Suppose you have been contacted by someone you believe is a legitimate person from a reputable company. Another method cybercrime employs to get people on the call is using the same local area code as the victim. People are not as resistant to answering such calls compared to those coming from unknown numbers and different areas. Lastly is gathering and abusing the information. Once the scammer receives the victim's account information and financial details, they will proceed with more severe criminal activities. Cyber criminals can use credit card account to make fraudulent transactions, gain access to bank account, and inflict massive financial damage. Scammers can even commit identity theft to pose as the victim, especially if they have the person's identifying details like the social security number. Next is what scammers tell you. We already established that voice phishing criminals will present themselves as genuine callers. They might post an government agency, member of financial institution, the Eternal Revenue Service, law enforcement agency, a genuine business, and tech support.
Hi, my name is Nur Anis Fatihah binti Hasri. My metric number is 292583. So, are you satisfied with all of that? Because there are many things related to scammers to share with you guys. So now, let's move to the example of phishing, which is common phishing scams. The most common techniques used in phishing attack including word dialing, VoIP, caller ID spoofing, and dumpster diving. What is meant by all these techniques? First of all is through word dialing. Word dialing is an automated method of voice phishing scams based on a specific error code. While the method originated from finding vulnerable entry points in web servers, the techniques work just as well for phishing. These techniques involves an automated message supposedly coming from a reliable organization. The message will usually ask the victim to verify their accounts, ask for personal or financial information, or threaten the victim into contacting the scammers directly. Usually, the elderly will be more deceived by this message because they lack exposure related to false information given by scammers. Therefore, they will believe the scammers' words that causing them to lose a lot of savings that they have. Next is through VoIP. Voice over Internet Protocol (VoIP) is a type of phone system that uses an internet connection to make and receive calls rather than traditional landlines. This is an especially dangerous technique since the criminals will use specialized software to make phone calls from seemingly legitimate phone numbers. The phone numbers in question might look like a 1-100 numbers or one coming from a trusted institutions like a police department or a hospital. This will make it easy for the elderly to be deceived and the phishing call more likely to succeed. And then caller ID spoofing is quite similar to VoIP in that the phone call will seem to come from a genuine government or business organizations. Sometimes the phone numbers will be hidden or instead of a real ID only display something like police or tax department. In this case, the phone scam can be successful if the victim never had contact with such agencies and doesn't know what their IDs look like normally. Lastly is through dumpster diving. Dumpster diving is precisely what it sounds like. Criminals will search for sensitive information in the trash, often going through dumpster behind business or banks. While this method is much low technology than the rest, it can be surprisingly effective. If your phone number is listed on a discarded piece of paper, that will be enough for the scammers to get in contact and attempt a phishing attack. So guys, what needs to do if you're targeted by a phishing scam? Many people do not care about this method, especially the elderly, but if you become one of the victims, here's what to look for. Firstly, you need to be careful if the caller asks you for sensitive information. In most cases, government agencies, banks, hospitals, or the police won't request your information over the phone. Don't give away your credit card or social security credentials during phone calls. Second, notice if the caller is using specific language that appeals to basic urges like greed or fear. When organizations conduct official business, they never use such language and will instead sound impartial and reasonable distance. Third, if the caller insists on your personal information, ask them for their info instead. Then, end the phone call and check their legitimacy based on what they told you. Remember, a phishing scam relies on social engineering. Scammers likely won't have a resource to produce a detailed false identity. Fourth, in case the caller asks you to make a phone call or send or receive text message, research the provided numbers before taking any action. If possible, contact those numbers from a different phone instead of your own. Last but not least, sometimes the easiest way to avoid A phishing attack is not to have the call at all. If an unknown number is calling you, don't answer and let the voicemail take it. And if you're already on the phone with a suspicious sounding caller, don't hesitate to hang up if you notice some red flags. And you know, the saddest thing is when there are many cases of voice phishing among elderly in Malaysia. This is online scam cases that recorded in Malaysia. Online scam cases in Malaysia are on an upward trend according to police statistics. In statistics that were collected from police report, there were 20,701 scams in 2021 with a loss of RM560,000.8 million. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akrasani Abdullah Sani said the cases involve online scams, markup scams, business email compromise scams, fake loans and SMS scams. So guys, please stay alert in every condition you have to avoid you become a victim of phishing scams.